Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hopefully everything is going well for everyone. We've made it through another week successfully, and we are at the beginning of another week. As always, on Mondays, what our purpose is to try to be as positive as we possibly can. And I will be the first one to tell you that that's a difficult thing to do at times. Because a lot of times, let's just be honest, when trying to put your best foot forward, you run into situations where you meet people that just really don't appreciate your efforts. They don't appreciate what you're trying to do. And then in some situations, you meet individuals who are determined to bring the worst out of every situation and the worst out of you if you allow them to. But nevertheless, we endeavor to continue to be positive, and so that's what we're going to continue to do. Okay, that's the goal. Now, I didn't make those opening statements just by coincidence, because if I'm being honest, about 5 years ago, I came to a decision that I thought would be best for myself and for my family, and I did it simply because I was trying to stay positive. And the employment that I was involved in was making it almost impossible for me to do that. So what do I mean? Well, at the time, I was working for an agency, and this particular agency's, one of the purposes of the agency was to help individuals who had disabilities. And so during my 3.5 years there, I helped quite a few people. And I'm proud of that. I really am. We did an amazing job helping individuals, modifying their homes, getting them wheelchair accessible vehicles. And then there's no end to the students that we helped return to college or begin their college careers, despite the fact that now they had a disability to deal with. So that's something I will always treasure. That's something that is a mainstay, if you will, on my resume, because it's something that involved giving back with the skills that I've been blessed with. So I always look at that particular instance in my life with a great amount of pride, if that's okay. But now, toward the end of my tenure with this particular agency, a close family member, I call her my aunt, but in this particular instance, she is a very, very, very beloved part of the family. Because a lot of times you understand that people who don't share the same blood as you can be just as close to you as a family member could be. And this is the case. We call her Aunt Helen. And Aunt Helen has always been supportive. Always. There's never been a time when I have heard Aunt Helen express something that was negative just to be expressing it. Anytime there was anything negative that came from her, it was more of a warning, or it was more of something to help prepare your mind so that you'll be cautious. You'll be looking for things that could cause you difficulty. That's who she was. And ever since I've known her, those are her characteristics. And so in this particular instance, Aunt Helen fell on some bad health. And her health was to the point where she was able to enroll in the program that I'm a part of, or that I was a part of. And so she was able to avail herself of all of the services of this particular agency. And so because this is my aunt, and I love her deeply, her case was given to me. And so I began to work. Because as I mentioned now, she's not a blood relative, but she's a relative in the best sense that I can think of. So I began to work. I went out to her house. I did a site survey. I looked at all of the things that she needed, because the kind of difficulty she was having, it had an effect on her physical body. And so there were limitations there. And so we surveyed the bathroom. We surveyed the width of the doors. We surveyed which areas would need grab bars installed. I went through the entire home. because back then I was a rehab engineer, or rehab technology specialist, as they would call it, right? And so as I'm going through the home, I am being meticulous. I promise you I am. Because this is an opportunity for me to show some appreciation for a woman who helped raise me. She helped raise me. And so upon leaving that agency, I left with all of the paperwork, all of the schematics, all of the drawings. Everything that needed to be submitted was submitted, right? And so that's one of the things that I carried with me when I left. The possibility that those things might never come to fruition. I might not ever see them. But lo and behold, yesterday morning, I received a call from my mother. She had just finished talking to Aunt Helen. And what do you think Aunt Helen said? Yes, she said that all of the things that I had written and recommended had been installed in her home. So she had the grab bars, the doors widened, the roll-in shower, all of these things to help with accessibility have been provided for her by the same agency. And she was overjoyed. And her statement to my mother was, my nephew did this for me. He did this for me. And it left such a profound impact on my mother that she called me just to tell me that. Just to tell me about the exchange that her and Aunt Helen had. Because you understand, listen, true friends, true family members that love you no matter what your age is, no matter where you are in life, they're available to you. They make sure that they're available to you. They make sure that you're doing okay. And if there's anything that they can do within reason, they do it. And that's the story about Aunt Helen. My whole entire life, from beginning to right where I am now, she has always supported me. And so my mother said that she wanted to call and thank me. And she wanted me to get in contact with her. And I'm going to go get in contact with Aunt Helen. I'm going to call her. But I'm not going to accept any kind of thank you. I'm not. Because in this particular instance, all of the thank you, all of the appreciation goes to her. Because you have to understand that growing up in the Delta, in one of the poorest towns in the United States, the amount of love that goes into rallying together, especially with someone that's not your blood relative, rallying together, her family and mine, and doing everything that was necessary just to survive. Just to survive. I can remember instances where my mother talked about how her and Aunt Helen would combine their funds, their money, in order to make it through the week, in order to have something to put on the table for their children. I can remember having those conversations with Mom, and I can remember her making it known to me expressly that a lot of times the only way that they made it is because they relied on each other. So I don't know anything else to say about the situation other than I'm thoroughly grateful for everything that Aunt Helen did for me. The example that she set, how she was always loving and kind, how she always wanted the best, not just for her children, but for us also. All 5 of us, she always wanted to see, and when good things happen, she was the first one to commend. She was the first one to say you did a good job. She was the first one to say, I'm so proud of you. Do you know what kind of impact that has on a young person? A young person who sees the world through the lens of difficulty, through the lens of poverty at times. And you know, people are struggling. They're struggling just to continue to put one foot in front of the other, and to have someone to make sure that they're considering your feelings, to make sure that you understand how they feel about you, to make sure that you know you're valuable to them. It means the world. It meant the world to me. That's why I was so meticulous. because this was something that I could do for Aunt Helen, and I didn't hesitate. I didn't. But now, of a greater importance, this particular story highlights that, just as I always say, I say this every video, do something good, positive, something that's encouraging and upbuilding, and see it return to you in greater measure. So even though it took 5 years for that seed that I planted to mature and grow and produce fruit, it produced fruit. It came back to me in greater measure, because now a person that I love has the things that they need. And they have the things that they need because I was put in a situation where I was blessed to have the ability and the opportunity to do something in her behalf. So no, she doesn't owe me any appreciation for it. If you ask me, I wish I could have done something more. I wish I could have. Because she's just that important. She's just that special. So, that's the story for this Monday, right? It's proof positive that when you take the time to consider others, when you take the time to put in the energy of being positive, you'll never come out lacking. There'll never be a situation where you're lacking. Now, am I saying that there won't be a situation where individuals will try to take advantage of your goodness? No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that in those particular instances, because you choose to be positive, those individuals will not be able to break you. They won't be able to convince you that looking at the negative and pursuing it is better than looking at the positive and pursuing that. So you can't be broken. And that's a wonderful thing to know. And so I just wanted to share that with you all. It was a welcome message. It actually made my day. I was so happy the rest of the day because something I had done came to fruition. And it came in the most unexpected way and the most unexpected time. But it came nevertheless. And I'm saying that that's the same thing that will happen to you. Plant the seed. And a lot of times planting the seed doesn't cost you anything. It didn't cost me a thing. This was my job, but I put some special effort into it because of who was involved. And when any labor is done out of love, I'm guaranteeing you have my word. I am signing on the dotted line when I say this. If you do it out of love, positivity, encouragement, it's going to come back to you. It's going to do it without fail. So as I mentioned, that's the story I wanted to tell you all this morning, because I want your week to be wonderful. I want this morning and every morning after this one to be absolutely fantastic. And I think that it will, if you focus on the good as opposed to the bad. Okay? So, I'd like to make one announcement also while I have your attention. I've noticed that a lot of content creators on YouTube, Facebook, a lot of these individuals, they make reference to a very important historical document, especially to the African American community. They make a reference to a document that's called a Moynihan Report. And the purpose of the Moynihan Report is to try to understand the dynamics of the family structure of the African American community in the United States. And so the next few videos, in addition to the videos that we do on Monday that are geared toward positivity, the next few videos I do will deal with breaking down the Moynihan Report and comparing the findings of this 1960 report with similar findings that exist in our time. And so we're going to look at the correlation between the information that comes from the past and the information, the statistics that exist in our day. And so I invite you to take a look at it. I am going to try to make it as informative as I possibly can, because there there's some things that need to be brought to the fore. There are some conversations that have to be had. And you know I'm never afraid to have them. All right? So as always, what do we say? Do something positive, right? And see it return to you in greater measure. I did, and it was a wonderful feeling. I hope y'all have a good week. And I hope the rest of your day is wonderful. As always, we love you. Peace.